Sorry, but I have to call out Dr. Taylor Marshall for leaning into Americanism. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for respecting the United States border. I'm all for respecting the border of every country, including my own, Canada. That being said, like it or not, Pope Francis is well within traditional Catholic pre-Vatican II teaching when he's calling out Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. I read Pope Francis' statement. He says, A, countries have the right to respect their borders, and B, that even though this may be the case, that doesn't mean that you get to ignore the fact that a lot of people who came, even if they did come illegally, are suffering. And you still need to have basic respect for human rights and human dignity even then. That's all that Pope Francis has said. Pope Francis has said a ton of stuff that is crazy, insane, and contrary to pre-Vatican II Catholic teaching. No ifs, ands, or buts. Even some stuff that's probably contrary to post-Vatican II Catholic teaching, like Fiducia Supplicans, Amoris Laetitia, Pachamama, and the list goes on and on and on and on. That being said, when we criticize the successor of St. Peter, criticize Pope Francis, all for that, it is still a serious thing to do. And I think that Taylor Marshall, by acting like Pope Francis is somehow denying the faith by offering this criticism, undermines a lot of traditional work that traditional Catholics do and makes traditional Catholic arguments seem like a petty squabble or personal preference when it is not. Pope Francis does a lot of things that I dislike that aren't contrary to the faith. I think he should have just moved into the papal residence myself, for example. Case of taste. Could there be nuances that Pope Francis is ignoring? Sure. And I think that it's fair to say that there should be discussion on this matter. That being said, to label Pope Francis as somehow being a modernist or woke, because simply for saying that, okay, you need to look after the border, but you also, even as you do so, need to respect human rights and mass deportations, which, by the way, even in Trump's first term, a lot of people, even Trump himself, thought some of it was kind of crazy. Like there were literally kids in cages. Judges issued court orders to Donald Trump saying you cannot separate children from their parents. Trump kind of said, I would challenge the court order, but what are you going to do? Everyone kind of agrees that children should be with their parents. You need to look after the border, but anyone who thinks that this is not a nuanced topic or that Pope Francis's statement should not be considered a worthwhile reminder is more interested in being rah, 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 America, rah, 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 my team, than they are interested in defending Catholic teaching. So the works of this would be Exulius Familia by Pope Pius the 12th, where he goes on about the rights of immigrants and the plights of immigrants. You can clearly tell that he is very moved by the needs of migrant and immigrant communities in the United States in his day. So there is a general preference for the church to care about the needs and duties of migrants. That is not a woke political correctness that came with Vatican II. Furthermore, if you look at St. Thomas Aquinas on this matter, often quoted by people who defend Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, it talks about how our relations with foreigners can be friendly or hostile. The situations where she lists where Aquinas lists people as being migrants as being friendly are when they come to migrate or live among you. It says they shouldn't be given citizenship right away, but if they're coming to live among you, live in peace, not breaking the law, the default position is like, yeah, you are to treat them with respect. That is literally the context. That is literally what most, even illegal immigrants to most countries are doing. Again, not saying that people can't be kicked out of the country if they break the law. Not saying that, okay, you've been in the country long enough, you need to go home now, is not a legitimate thing. But to do it en masse without deference to the people to the dignity and human rights of people you are deporting is wrong and is not in line with Catholic teaching. And that is a legitimate concern that we should be talking about as Catholics, as traditional Catholics. Yes, even if you're American. Yes, even if you're in favor of deporting people to another country. Anyway, that is just an impromptu video. But I need to call out Dr. Taylor Marshall and other American traditional Catholics for leaning into Americanism. There's a reason why there is this tendency to lean into to Protestant and Masonic culture in America. It's called Americanism. Because Americanism can disguise itself as something that's very right-wing, very conservative, very traditional, when in fact it is very much contrary to church teaching. So I would call on Dr. Taylor Marshall, read some encyclicals pre-Vatican II on immigration before you open your mouth. Not saying you, Dr. Marshall, you don't have good points. Not saying that it is not a fair discussion. Border security 100% is a fair discussion. But we should not be dismissing the concerns expressed by Pope Francis. And we should not, neither should we any more than people who are pro-migrant should be dismissing legitimate border concerns about the security there. Anyway, those are just some impromptu thoughts. God bless. Please check in on SSPX Church. And if you're an American, please read up on Catholic social teaching. God bless.